Welcome back to another episode of... No? Okay,
Yep, sorry.
I'm Lee.
And I'm Richard.
And we are exhausted.
We're also experienced business owners with over a decade of lessons behind us. We've operated businesses in many different sectors and in many different parts of the world.
A few years back, I wrote a book called Once Upon a Time in Small Business. I thought I'd told all the important stories. Turns out, I was just getting started.
This podcast is all about the messy, honest human moments behind business, life, and leadership.
We'll take you through each of the chapters of the book with more stories about the lessons we've learned through our businesses over the years.
This is Richly Told.
Welcome back to Richly Told, where nothing goes as planned.
Today's no different.
We promised you a third episode to imposter syndrome this week, and we are not going to deliver. We wanted to have somebody on to talk to, and unfortunately that couldn't happen in time. So rather than try and continue on and just sort of fill in the gap, we thought we would put a pin in that, for lack of a better buzz phrase, and move on to another topic, some other things that happened this week, and then come back to the third episode of Imposter Syndrome at a later date when we can secure our guest. So, with that in mind, we are going to talk about some things that happened this week in our world. It's been an incredibly busy couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Probably more so than usual, and we have a busy life.
Yeah. And this week it all collided.
This week it all came crashing down, so we probably also look and sound a little bit tired. To our producer, Rabs, we're very sorry because this is actually coming to him later to edit and get ready for us. So
it's not Monday.
It's not Monday, Garfield. I'm not going to say what day it is. But what we did want to talk about today was prioritizing.
When your plate's too full.
How do you know what to drop?
Yeah, so it's quite a tricky one because we spoke earlier about how you can't really give up. We spoke about another podcast earlier one. The message can get really confusing when it's you're trying to balance not giving up on something and identifying when something's not working. And identifying when something is not working doesn't mean you're giving up, but it also doesn't mean that you should necessarily spend a lot of energy in trying to rework that particular thing to make it work. You shouldn't, it's hard to know when to try and make something work and when there's just too much, and the benefit of even if you got it to work, the benefit isn't quite there to justify.
I remember I used to write for a business coach, an Australian business coach called Andrew Griffiths, and he used to say, don't quote me, it's something like, don't get tied to a mistake.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact way that he phrased it. It was brilliant. If I can find it, I'll chuck it up on our Instagram.
I remember you used to say that a lot.
But
don't get tied to a mistake.
Essentially what he was saying was just because you invested time, money, energy into something doesn't make it the reason for you to continue if it's not working.
Yeah. So how do you reconcile that with the idea of not giving up and trying to keep one foot forward?
How do you know when it's not working?
Right. So this is why we thought we'd talk today, because we had to drop something this week. It was consuming a lot of time. We couldn't put 100% into it. And it doesn't matter how we've reworked it. There's only so many hours in a day and only so many days in a week. And it required a lot more attention and a lot more work than that we had left.
And adding to that, it required us to alter the business model
of everything
for it to fit into this space.
And even then, we still didn't have the time left over to properly dedicate to it.
We used to say that it's bringing in money. This is clients, this is business. Who would be crazy enough to turn business away?
Yeah.
I did talk about that in Once Upon a Time in Small Business. I've talked about that a couple of times, like firing clients and how to know when you've got the correct clients and the right business. I think something that really stood out for me this week in particular was that although I was writing about that 10 years ago, like with a lot of the lessons and a lot of the things that we talk about on this podcast, this is something that you continually need to do and continually need to be paying attention to in order to make sure you're on top of it. Like, it's not a lesson that you just learn. It's not a degree that you get and then off you go and you're a lawyer now. It's a lesson that you have to keep learning time and time again. It's more like exercise. It's like a muscle.
So in our scenario, to try and help explain the reconciliation of not giving up and letting something go, we spent, 8 months on this particular project. We reworked it a couple of times. And as Lee mentioned, it was bringing in work and it was bringing in money, but it was actually bringing in the wrong kind of work.
Yeah.
It was bringing in work where it was really time-consuming work for not much money. So
high expectations.
And the expectations
done quickly because we were reachable.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah, reachable. Yeah, that's a word. And it got finicky and it got really detailed, and then it sort of even got to the point where sometimes we question, what do we even charge for this?
But I think fundamentally we knew the way that we wanted the business to go.
Yeah.
And so the flaw in what we were doing was that we were trying to mold the business to the opportunity rather than seek opportunities that were right for the business.
And that's kind of where we fell into the trap of, never giving, don't give up, rework the problem. Actually, this all came crashing down on Friday last week.
Yeah.
When we had a big meeting about it. Yeah. The thing that
we need to tell the story of the big meeting.
The story, it was a day and a half, but at least what we got out of it though was confirmation that the original business model is the way we should be going.
We wanted to go. Yeah. We did get other things out of it, and that is also something that I kind of want to reinforce, is that just because something doesn't work, just because it is a failure on paper, for lack of a better term, okay, it didn't work out. So on paper it's a failure. There was a lot of things that actually came out of that for us. And the biggest being this confirmation that the direction that we wanted to take this business in,
the original direction.
Was the original direction.
Yeah.
It was the way that we want it to go.
Yeah. So the business itself is still fine. It's just this one activity that we're doing that just didn't go the way we thought it would when we first started it. And it didn't, as I said, it didn't matter how much we reworked it. There's not 30 hours in a day and there's not 10 days in a week. And there literally wasn't any time for it.
No.
And so that's what we use to decide, okay, this is not something that is sustainable. So I guess that's the difference between just walking away from something and identifying when something is not sustainable. But you've got to be really careful in that assessment, because people could run the risk of actually saying, oh, that's not sustainable, and giving themselves an out.
Yeah, so there's a middle ground between that. Something bad happened and it didn't go the way I like, so this is not sustainable and I'm out.
Yeah.
And what happened to us on Friday. And I'm wondering if we should talk about it a little bit deeper, because what happened with us on Friday shouldn't have happened either. It was too far, and that's why we're talking about it now. So basically on Friday morning, I was on the way to a meeting, 3/4 of the way there, and Richard called me because he was coming in the opposite direction, and I was already stressed out about this. I didn't want to go. I was bloody exhausted.
We were a mess when I called.
I was a mess. My petrol light was on. I was running late.
You even got lost.
So that's...
You've only been there hundreds of times.
I missed the turn off to Richard going, what are you doing up here? Because he's coming in the opposite direction, and I'm going, I don't know where I am. He said, I think you need to cancel, turn around, meet me at the beach, the beach we were closest at, which is one of our locals. He said, meet me here. It was breakfast time. We'll go have a coffee. Let's talk it out. I turned around. We met at the beach. We sat there and we talked through absolutely everything to do with this one particular business. I will just say that this is one business in an ecosystem of other businesses for us. So we have quite a bit going on and quite a few moving pieces that we have to consider when we're making all of these decisions. So by the end of that, we kind of come to a few basics of, okay, I think this is the way that we're going to move forward. And we agreed that we would part ways. Richard had worked night shift the night before, so he was coming home to go to bed, and I was heading off to one of the other businesses.
It was a mess.
It was a mess, and it got worse because as I drove past our suburb, I actually ran out of petrol because
Oh, that's right.
my petrol light, a brand new house.
Just as I had gotten into bed,
Richard had gotten into
got a text message. I ran out of fuel.
I ran out of fuel.
And I thought, of course you did. So
really hoping that you were already asleep and that you didn't actually pick up. I thought, I'm not going to ring him. I'll text him. If he's still awake, he'll see the text. If he's not, I'm walking. I really didn't want to walk because where we live quite isolated and the only way to walk is along the highway, and I'm looking at the cars, and by this stage it's peak hour and I'm going, oh my gosh. I didn't even want to sit in the car on the side of the road.
picked up the jerry cans, went to the servo.
Fill me up. We looked at each other.
I burst out laughing.
I burst out crying.
You were crying. I saw you and I just burst out laughing.
We burst out laughing. That was our confirmation then that we really needed to actually take something off the plate. The plate
It
was
is overflowing.
like smashed it on the floor at the point. The cat was licking it up. So
It was.
don't be us.
Yeah.
The point of this podcast is a couple of things, I guess. It doesn't matter how many years in business you have under your belt, you still F up.
Yeah.
You still get yourself into situations where you should have known better or you should have seen it coming. The second point, I guess, is use people like us to learn from and listen to us talking about what we've been through and go, if you can recognize any part of yourself in any part of the story, that's a good indication for you to start actually thinking about whether or not you need to make some changes.
Well, I guess the marker, honestly, for what we're trying to communicate here is if it's causing a problem. If there's something in the business that is quite literally causing a problem, it's causing a deviation, it's causing extra, you're manufacturing stress. When it gets to this kind of escalation, you are ending up actually manufacturing stress, which you don't need. There's enough stress. You don't need to make more stress up. When it gets to that kind of level, you got to be honest with yourself and go, well, we're not giving up on the business model. We're not giving up on the business itself. But this one activity within this that's breaking us right now, it's a pros and cons list. Like do a pros and cons list. What's that?
I didn't turn my microphone on before we started recording this podcast.
Right. So this is actually going really well.
Oh, I get
So hopefully...
looking at your microphone lights thinking, I don't recall doing that with mine. So I'm really hoping that...
Do you want to finish strong and turn it on now?
I don't think so. I think I just want to keep it consistent and see if we could get a decent... real apologies for the audio on this. See, look...
Go on, you can do it. Turn it on.
No, because I want to keep it consistent. Because I've stopped you consistently bad. I've stopped you mid-rant now. What I'm really hoping is that you're...
ranting? What are you talking about? I was explaining. Jeez.
The explanation. I'm hoping that your mic is picking me up enough. So, fingers crossed.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Because we're on such a tight turnaround even today that we can't redo this. We can't redo this.
No.
Still going smoothly over on our end.
Yeah.
Smooth like sandpaper. So, my explanation, if it's causing an issue, if there's real friction, if it's causing real friction, it's causing a deviation, it's causing stress, it's probably not worth hanging on to.
You just really don't want to do it. Like, there's
well, there's mental health in this as well.
No.
Well, you were a mess on Friday because you didn't want to do it.
That's not what I mean. Not mental health. Not just, ooh, I don't feel like sweeping the floor. Because no one wants to sweep the floor, right?
No, we pay a person to do that. This is a smooth podcast, this one.
So what my point was...
I'm just...
No.
Okay.
Thank you. If you're finding that there's something in your business that you really don't want to do, it's causing you unnecessary stress every time it comes up, that is the thing that you need to assess. We do this to make our own rules, make our own life. What's the point of doing all that and making your own rules and making your own life if it's only going to be things that cause you stress? Stress is inevitable. But you don't need additional stress if you can get rid of it and make changes.
I think as long as you're doing that without emotion, like you're not angry or frustrated at something, as long as you've analysed it, you've done a pro and cons list.
Why am I feeling like this every time I do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A big difference between giving up and identifying when something isn't working is a big difference. And I hope that in this very smooth episode today that we've managed to convey that message, but you basically have just got to be honest with yourself. It's not a 2-day thing. You don't try something for 2 days. We tried, was it 10 months?
Yeah, 10 months.
Didn't work. It was generating the wrong kind of activity, the wrong kind of business.
Yeah, and even that's not a long time,
No.
I don't think.
As long as
It is, but it's still not a long time. In terms of business, you need to give things a decent amount of time in order to see whether they're going to work or not.
Yeah.
But I think that the indicator that it wasn't the right thing was that we were trying to change the business model to fit this one
thing
activity.
that was just not worth it. I think ultimately there is only so many hours in a day, and you need to make sure that you're filled it with quality rather than quantity.
In Once Upon a Time in Business, I wrote an article called Don't Let Fear Become the Boss of Your Business. And it was essentially talking about the fear of walking away from things. And that was kind of where we were at, is that I was worried about walking away from something that was generating income. Even though it wasn't a great deal of income and it wasn't consistent, it was still income. And when you are self-employed and there is no certainty and there's no guarantee of money in your bank every week, it is a very real fear to go, actually, thanks but no thanks, and put that away. But I wrote, fear, we all have it. It's always there, but don't let it become the boss of your business. If you find yourself becoming overwhelmed, stop and ask yourself, why am I here? Slow it down and proceed with purpose. Make every day count and trust your gut. I don't know what we are going to be talking about next week. We're supposed to throw to a topic. But at the moment,
Probably whatever fire it is next week.
it'll be whatever flyer we're putting out next week, I'd say. So stay tuned. This has been Richly Told.
Oh my God.